other teams would sit down and go like, yeah, but we want we practice with the other lineup. They didn't even dwell on that at all. They have what they have, and they're gonna make it happen with this very roster. And I think it's gonna work out well.
Captain Rubicon is flexing over there. You see that?
Damn.
You think that was
straight forearm? He's like, oh, you see the traps? Come on,
I do that too.
So don't hate on that, you know? Oh my goodness. Okay, now I gotta explain traps to you. We'll talk later.
Okay. Oh God.
All right, and there is the Singapore squad. And James, I mean, this team, they are, you know, like they can shock the world if they're not careful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it all really does come down to just how they have like a de facto support squad with Aphiz and Suki. Those are the two committee members that joined them here, and they have been so involved with the team, not just as like a coaching standpoint, but also just motivational, right?
They're also casters back home too.
Casters,
great commentators, so
right? I believe Suki is like going into a really heavy analyst role. So like they're bringing a lot of support in with this. So if they can work with the experience that they've been building up by training over in Singapore, also being able to scrim against the likes of Team Thailand and other nations around them, I think they really do have a shot here up against Team Russia.
Yeah, but they're a bit of an unknown factor here. We actually don't know like what they're going to play and how they're going to play it as much. They haven't had been in the spotlight for so long. They did tell us that they were going to run a different kind of dive. They're looking out not just to dive the back line, but pick apart team members that are in the wrong position at the wrong time. So I'm going to be really interested to see how they approach this game.
Well, with a player like Shadowburn who likes to challenge and, you know, get in your face quite a bit, that could cause some issues.
Yeah, I mean, Singapore is definitely one of those teams, like they did their research. And I very much hope that Russia is aware of just that. So maybe Russia does have to switch one or two things up a little bit to catch Singapore by surprise.
Yeah, and I'm a bit worried, right? Because Chao is not the most experienced diva by any means. So they might pull out the triple DPS composition, and that leaves a lot of room to get poked down if a team is playing very passively. And I think that Singapore might not be this very super aggressive team. And that means that they're going to poke down Russia if they don't play this diva correctly.
Yeah, but Shao did seem like he was confident.
He was confident, okay?
He was confident.
He's usually a tracer player, but he practiced diva a lot going into this tournament. So let's see if that's going to work out for them.
It felt like he didn't. It felt like he wasn't, because when you talk to a lot of players who make the switch to diva, it sounds like a chore. Right, they always make it sound like it's a chore.
And Chao does make it sound like a chore too.
No, he didn't.
I think he even stated in an interview that he really doesn't like playing
Never
diva.
mind, and I retract my statement from the official record, and I eat my words proudly.
That's okay.
Here.
Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe I'm not up to date.
No, you definitely are, because I'm an old man, so you know I forget things. But I will say this.
I'm an old lady too, so it's
memes. So I talked to Rubicon, and I was like, "Hey, so you know, how you feeling?" And he was like, "Who knows? Maybe we might get 4-0'd." So that was what he
That's
said.
confidence.
Yeah, I mean, Rubicon's not one to be like one of those blatantly, you know, out there guys. So you know, I thought that was actually pretty funny. So what do you see here, Reinforced? Do you think we could potentially get another 4-0 for the day, or will we get a different result?
It's looking like a 4-0, Golden Boy.
I mean, that should be their aim.
Yeah, that should be their aim.
They need the 4-0. They need every single point. They want to avoid South Korea. They might want to have that rematch at BlizzCon, but I don't think they're quite ready yet.
No.
Yeah,
they do not want that rematch versus South Korea.
At BlizzCon, they will eventually have it, I guess.
Eventually we'll have to face off South Korea.
I do think they will try to avoid it for this very stop.
Yeah. One thing I do want to inform our viewers at home is that there is a technical issue over at the stage that the team just let me know of. So everyone's getting that resolved in just a little bit. Shouldn't be too long here, and we should be a-okay. But you know, while we're going down this one here, I mean, let's break down Russia a bit more. And we highlighted Shadowburn, we highlighted Shao. I guess it would make sense to talk about Forsaken here.
Yeah.
Because so either he plays the support Sombra for them, or it'll be Shadowburn playing, even though they seem like it was going to be more Shadowburn, but Forsaken did say that he might do it if they feel like it.
To be honest, looking at this lineup, I don't feel like any of them are really comfortable playing the Sombra. But in this meta, as I said earlier, it's not mandatory to bring it out, but it's a really good pickup. If they bring out the Sombra, sure. I hope it's going to be on Forsaken Forsaken is his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is his name.
Rather than
You've done
Shadowburn.
well.
Because you have
10 out of 10.
Shadowburn. You have
Yeah.
Shadowburn, right? He's a sick Genji. And
Yeah.
you want a sick Genji.
Especially in this meta. You do want the great
Yeah.
Genji player, one player.
I'm
who's
actually not
one of
like
us.
100% sure. Like, so Forsaken usually, I know him as a Lucio player. As far as I could tell from scrims here, he's going to play NSN
Yeah.
for Russia. What are your
Seems
thoughts
to be
on
a
that?
bit of a Spain situation at hand.
A bit of a Spain situation.
Without flaming too much. God damn.
How about we call it a Spain day one situation?
Yes,
Since
and then over
they've
time they
been,
might progress, but
Yeah.
then they will get second place and they will face South Korea.
You're a little too
Like-
spicy right now,
Yeah.
Johnny. Johnny
Yeah,
too
calm
spicy.
down.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
trying to summon my inner flame, a bit of
Well, no,
biases onto this damn thing.
You need to have the 16-inch pythons, and you need to that's
I don't
and
even
be
know what
Puerto
that
Rican.
is.
So that's the Hulk.
It's
That's
a
a Hulk
snake,
Hogan reference.
sir. It's a snake.
No, it's a Hulk Hogan reference, Joey. Oh my God!
I got that. I just tried to be
Oh,
surprised.
it's a snake.
I double checked.
It's a snake. Oh God, I have nothing left to give here. This
And I'm
is
just
just.
done with all these
Yeah.
snakes on this desk.
So we have to take,
Oh
I mean,
man.
what else is left to say?
No,
Russia ranked 10.
that's very true.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
true.
They have
Thank
the map
you.
pick.
Nailed it.
They got first map pick here
Yeah.
against
Yes.
Singapore. James, want to loop you in
Hi.
for
Hello.
for.
Hi.
Hello. How are you
What do
doing?
you know about reptiles?
What do you-
Very little. So I'm not going to be able to help you there. I know that I'm afraid of most of them.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
avoid them as much as I can.
Oh.
Okay.
Especially snakes, because venom and poison and all that stuff.
I'm a big fan of
good.
Snakes on a Plane, starring the legendaries.
It's-
And what an
it's really-
Oscar-winning performance from Samuel Jackson.
Said no one ever.
Said, no, that is not true at all. It's not.
But
Honestly,
you just said it, so I have to retract
I
that
hope
statement.
we get like an airport map in Overwatch, and then Jeff Kaplan just puts in like some
Some
snakes.
snakes.
Just some snakes.
There's snakes running around like
Right
Dumbani
there.
right now.
I'm with it. All right, well, let's dive into this Singaporean roster here while we get ready for the match to begin. I hear the fans actually hitting the thundersticks out there, so preach, dog. But all
Do they
right,
have Singaporean fans here? You think they travel here?
Wow.
Hey.
What's
it's a long trip, isn't it? I believe it is.
Yeah.
actually? It's
I mean-
kind of the other side of the
I
world.
mean-
so-
Yeah.
For a lot of them, for Jungunji and I believe Zest, it's actually their first time traveling outside of Singapore.
Yes, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like, I could never do that.
Yeah, but even like if you look at the Russian
Well, yeah,
roster,
you
like
have very-
Mistakes is coming from Siberia, so that's also a really long trip
Yeah.
to get to Poland. Might like check out a map, you'll see.
I have a fear of flying, so I could never even. Yes, I know I have a
That's
fear of
really
flying, and I
unfortunate.
work in an
Me too.
industry where I fly
so
everywhere.
I can very much relate.
Yeah, but I think it is interesting that your first trip out of Singapore, and it was funny talking to them because Zest, I think it was Zest, had mentioned
His
that
mom was
his
worried.
mom was
Yeah.
worried for him,
Like,
and I'm
no.
like, that is just adorable, man. Like, I totally get it. But all right, guys, it looks like we are ready to go with the game, so let's send it over to your casters to close us out here for our final matchup of the day. It's going to be Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy and the desk. And quickly, I've seen my fair share of snakes, guys. If there's a 16-inch one, you don't want it anywhere near your desk.
Yeah, there's a
Let's
lot
not
of
wish for
snakes in
that.
Australia.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
can confirm that.
None
I
of
didn't
them
see
on
any
planes, though. We don't really allow that to occur. But back on topic, perhaps, Matt.
Yeah.
We just meander a little bit, or not nearly as much as those guys. But this is an interesting match, right? You've got a Russia team that just had a shuffle, and a Singapore team who ostensibly is actually maybe weaker on the outside, but have had far more time to practice. We're talking about they were landing every weekend, these guys.
Yeah, so it seems like they were landing, Fridays and Saturdays, practicing, I think 2 days during the week. The Singapore team on the side for Russia, they had to make some changes, in the last 5 days, but arguably their roster got a little bit stronger.
That's what people are saying, and look, it's probably mostly because Norgak's not totally known that well around the world. I believe there was a reason he was selected in the first place, but that's by the by. Numbani's going to be our first map up here, and it's worth pointing out as well, people have said that there's been sort of maybe a boost in strength of this team. That's because we've seen Mistakes join in, who as of Monday was the #1 player on European ranked. He was the very best player in Europe.
You get a phenomenal Tracer and Mistakes. You combo him with Shadowburn, who we obviously know the things he does on Genji. I think it'd be a very devastating combo. You get those two going.
Right, John Gilgi going to make his way up early on this Tracer, so Singapore have wasted no time in actually getting to grips with this Russian squad. Chow obviously initially was the DPS player on this team, but has been relegated to the D.Va role with the entry of Mistakes, and that's definitely a justified decision, sure. Singapore, look at this position, so interesting. They kind of rushed Russia up onto the high ground. Now, they've kind of swapped sides of the map. This is bizarre.
Yeah, they've done a nice job of forcing them down from the high ground. It's going to be 2 kills, though, going in favor of Russia. Lee Cup grabbing 1 for Singapore, but it's going to be Russia cleaning everything else up. So Russia will win the first team fight. I like the position that Singapore was able to force out of.
Okay, I'm not a fan of the focus fire for Singapore there. They get in position,
Yeah.
They've got high ground, they realize, wait a minute, Russia's not here. Russia would actually sort of just jockeyed back a little bit up on that upper platform, and then Singapore kind of just, well, let's dive on them and stuff like that. And we saw, I think, Forsaken seemed to have almost been caught out at one point. He didn't die for ages. I mean, Rubicon stayed alive the whole time, so I don't know. It's a little bit interesting from Singapore. They definitely need to be a little bit more decisive when they actually start these fights, get a pick, and then really snowball that to their advantage.
Yeah, now we can talk a little bit about Shadowburn's Genji, right? Now, he was so good last year, but in a different meta. Now, I think you're going to see a different Genji out of Shadowburn this weekend. You see Neon Tears goes diving in, doesn't have the teammate support, went a little bit too far there.
The problem is, Neon Tears had already used his dash, and then there was a Winston on top of him. If you're ever a Genji with no dash cooldown and a Winston chasing you, you are dead. 100%. We saw XQC do that tons of times in just the previous game there. Very easy to pressure enemy Genjis off. Obviously, there's no way to avoid the damage unless you can dash away. So Rage of Tofu goes over the edge, commits himself to the Abyss, and so far, yeah, I mean, Russia is stealing from the rich and giving it right to the Singapore.
Yeah, it's another win for Russia. Now you have Shadowburn with that Dragon Blade. Notice no Ana, for the side of Russia. They're going to be running, a lot of Zenyatta with Lucio, so you're not going to be able to see those crazy, nano Dragon Blade kills we saw from Shadowburn last year. It's going to have to play a little different.
So they were definitely his bread and butter. Now he's going to have to go with that. You can see just how low Neon Tears was there. The Discord Orbs to start things off, and Forsaken managed to finish the job. Russia again, they bend with the flow here from Singapore. They're not afraid to give ground because they're going to take it right back. Shadowburn now on the end of the Dragon Blade is going to serve up a delight.
Yeah, and they use the Transcendence before the blade even comes out. Shadowburn only able to get 1 with it. He's going to have to work his way back towards the point, as Singapore has 2 players on the point. It'll be Mistakes trying to chunk down the Diva. Rage of Tofu is going to be out of his mech. Mistakes trying to hold on to this for Russia. They're going to pick up a few kills, and Russia should hold on to the point.
Yeah, what I like about this defense from Russia is that it's not brittle, it's not stubborn, okay? They're stoic enough to back away and give a bit of ground before jumping back onto the point. They realize we can give ground, let's give a tick up in this fight. We're going to pick off Singapore's Genji or their Winston, and then we're going to quickly snap on towards the point and win the fight. Russia can afford to do that a little bit more now. They still have 2/3 of the capture progress here. Look at this. There's ults aplenty. Pulse bombs there. Transcendence is also going to be there. Neon Tears is definitely going to have his ultimate shut down by Transcendence if Russia has their way.
And there comes Diva Bomb over the top. They're going to get nothing with it. Transcendence comes out here for Russia. There'll be a Dragon Blade as well, but it's going to be Chow taking out 1. Nice dash there straight through from Shadowburn. He's going to back out, just play his life here. He'll get back onto the health pack, then back onto the point. As you see Mistakes, though, he has been doing a lot of damage here on the point as Tracer for Russia.
Yeah, and this is a player, actually, that's only really become into the public eye in recent times. Mistakes surfaced on a team called 1-2-3, and they really started to rock things in the European scene. And Mistakes, everyone really didn't know who this guy was. He came around the block, and all of a sudden now, Russia pretty much boasts the best Genji and the best Tracer in Europe.
Yeah, with the current meta, that is a great thing to have. You see it's only going to be 10 seconds left here for Singapore to get on the point. They're going to jump on the Discord Orb onto that Diva. You're going to try and get her out of that mech as soon as possible. Shadowburn does have the blade. Just pay attention for when it comes out.
All right, Shariki's going to find Cup early on with the Primal Rage. Up on the point, though, you see Zest is getting crunched. Sao managed to find his way towards it pretty comfortably. John Gyeongi just going to try and jump on and stall it out. Neon Tears had a Discord Orb on him. That was put on to the next player pretty quickly. Iron was up on the top ground, and it was Forsaken to pick him up there. Russia picked that one apart. It was sequential. It was surgical even in its efficiency. Russia know how to give ground, they know what their margins are, and they know how to get themselves back in the fight before they lose too much.
Yeah, and they commit, Singapore so far to try and get Shadowburn down, right? We saw so many times we're on board with him where he gets low, backs all the way out. Now, the rest of Singapore turns around. They have all of Russia right there. A lot of those guys pretty close to full HP. They're able to just take him out.
And a pretty dominant start here for the Russian team. It was said by Rubicon. He said, we may well just get full road. We don't really know what the enemy team's going to throw at us. We don't even really know what we're capable of, given the changes to this roster. But the Singaporean team had a lot of issues when it came to dive. They maybe weren't expecting Russia to disengage as effectively as they did. And what that means is that all your gap closers, all your dashes and stuff, you can be put in a position where you fall short of your target and are forced, as a Genji, for example, to deal with the enemy front line instead of their back line. That's why it's important to be able to disengage effectively as a defending team and identify where your weak points are to cover them.
Yeah, you saw the strength of Russia with, getting out of those engages, and then you saw Singapore, remember that time Neon Tears, he's up by that bridge, he uses his dash, engages, has no real support, not able to get back out. You just see the difference, and I think Dive, obviously, it takes a ton of team coordination and also mechanical skill. When you have Shadowburn and mistakes on the Tracer and Genji, you got a lot of that over there as well.
And that's definitely something, yeah, we talked about mechanical skill. That's something that Russia boasts in spades. Shariq is arguably one of the best dive tanks in Europe. United is one of the best dive teams. That's where he comes from, right? And Shariq's a big part of their success. And then a player like Forsaken, who came along earlier than Boombox and maybe isn't held in such high regard nowadays, but is what I'd consider a Zenyatta specialist. He was always big on this hero, was very, very effective at it, and Rubicon's an excellent caller. He's always been a Lucio player. So Russia have people in the right roles, and they set themselves up to actually succeed with the way this team works.
Yeah, they have all the pieces to make a deep run yet again in the Overwatch World Cup. We'll see how they break off the beginning. We'll see Shariq and Shadowburn lead the charge. It looks like they may end up just going straight for the point here, Mitch, not challenge the high ground.
They've got to get a bit of information first and find out where Singapore is set up, like which side is which in terms of their hero positioning here. Singapore's not running a Soldier 76, they're actually running a defensive Genji, which is really interesting. Shadowburn now as well realizes there's a Winston a little bit too close by. He's taking a lot of poke damage now and needs to back away and wait for this health pack to regenerate or get some healing from his team. In the meantime, Rage of Tofu's managed to find 2 kills, and this is going to slow up Russia considerably.
Yeah, on the other side of the map, it was Shariq who was able to take down both of the supports here for Singapore. So now you see Russia just extending this on the point. It's going to be a dash straight through. You have Chow and Shadowburn on the point. It'll be Rage of Tofu out of the mech, and now you see Singapore starting to stagger here.
Yeah, that's right. Well, bit by bit, I mean, yeah, for Agent it's going to be pretty much impossible to actually keep this going any longer, and that's going to be the map already. The full hold from Russia on defense makes this a pretty straightforward affair, and now, of course, perhaps to the chagrin of some, we didn't see the initiation of that fight on camera. We saw, obviously, sort of the jump on Shadowburn. They sort of dived on him as Genji. He was actually forced to take a sidebar in that fight and back away. But the rest of his team, Shariq especially, managed to make a sort of a responsive dive, a counter-attack onto the main point itself while Shadowburn was tending to his wounds. And it was a back-and-forth fight. But eventually the Russians had that numbers advantage to push it over the edge.
Well, yeah, Singapore sent their Diva and Tracer after Shadowburn, and then there's no Diva to Matrix to kind of help the guys on that backline. Then you saw the Lucio and Ana drop from Shariq.
Exactly.
That's where it all fell apart.
And the thing is, right, Singapore are playing, now this could be because of hero pool or personal preference, but they're not playing a Soldier 76 on defense on this map. Now that's okay, because we see how effectively Soldier 76 can be mitigated by attacking Divas who manage to close the gap quickly with a rocket boost and then put them in the cone of silence in the defense matrix, right? The thing is that now, with a Tracer and Genji defensive setup, Singapore have to be proactive and aggressive on their defense. They actually can't just sit back and actually wait for Russia to initiate. They need to find a pick. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves quite scattered like they did there. They went for a pick, they didn't quite get the kill, then both front lines jumped on each other. It turned into chaos very quickly. You don't really want to have to deal with that as a defensive team. You want to be able to sit back with your Ana and 76 and just have a good view of the fight and know sort of whether you can back away and what your margins are.
Well, also, I mean, with a team that's not obviously, trying to comfortable with engaging, why would you try and engage with Russia, who has, one of the best Tracers and Genjis in the world?
And like I said, like a dive tank from a team who are famed for being excellent excellent type team, right? Like, you are playing directly into Russia's hands in terms of the players on their team and what their skill sets are.
Well, right, you want to try and throw Russia off guard. Maybe play something where they're forced to get away from their strengths. Maybe force, Shadowburn to switch off of the Genji, go to something else. And you kind of just play the same exact mirror comp.
Right.
You're just kind of just trying to beat them at their own game, which I know Russia, very strong team, may not work.
And you make a great point, because Russia, given the proficiency of the DPS players when it comes to Genji and Tracer, don't see the need to run a 76.
Yeah.
It's not, in fact, I think even on 1, 2, 3, mistakes, never played it. It was always Snillo who played the Soldier 76 on that team. So we're going to go to Lijiang Tower now as well, but for Singapore, it might not be worthwhile trying to copy the team that we saw Austria attempt that against South Korea, and we all know how that went. Perhaps this is their color. Perhaps this is their approach. Not having a Soldier 76 as the weaker team on Numbani, paired up with an Ana, can be problematic, but we're going to move on. Matt, we're going to head over, of course, towards the night market here on Lijiang Tower to kick things off. And now, Neon Tears, we're seeing a flash at 76 for us.
Yeah, so you're going to sub out the Tracer for the 76. You can make the argument, maybe, you keep Tracer in there, you put 76 for Genji, but No, obviously, you don't know these teams' exact hero pools.
I mean, this is a comp that runs an Ana for Singapore. If they roll out like this, so it's like there's more justification for bringing in a Genji, even if he's not necessarily a world-beating Genji, because you can make use of the nano boost. But most teams are not doing that anymore, and they're giving it to the Winston because the durability is so important, and he's very, very good at chasing down those backlines. So, by the by, we're not going to see much change from Russia. This should be the Russia team comp for almost this entire group stage. I don't see any need for them to really change their comp. I mean, Shadowburn had to play D.Va for a while in phase, but again, this should be what they're going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, unless they want to throw a Sombra in on one of the maps, then maybe you see a change, but I think this is what you're going to see, the tried and true from Russia. Shadowburn with 2 off the break, and you see Neon Tears, though, with the 76, putting down a lot of damage. Mistakes gets Tofu out of the mech. He's going to have to back out. There'll be Russia with Mistakes leading the way, taking the point.
The cleanup is especially good from Russia. They have the Tracer and the Winston still in position as the fight sort of broke down there. So Singapore, again, the heuristic or the flowchart of sort of who they want to pick off here definitely needs to be at the forefront of their minds now as well, just to limit Russia's capacity as much as they can with one single pick. Mistakes going to use the high ground. He's very close to a pulse bomb now, and he's going to be able to let that one go pretty much at any time. He just jump into the mix. I think he's throwing that straight into a defense matrix. It's hard to see there. Cup's taking a bit of damage, but now Singapore try to outmaneuver, and they're still on the point now for the engage from Russia.
Oh, it's going to be the Primal Rage coming out from Sharik, trying to knock players off the map. He's not able to find anybody directly in front of him. Nobody's dropped.
Oh my god.
Oh, I lied. There are a lot of people going off the side. Yep, I definitely lied to you guys. So you see 3 players fall to their death. Asai comes in from Mitch. So that was not ideal there for Singapore.
No, I mean, it's more a desire to see Singapore to achieve. Okay, here's the problem, right? You move on to the point to fight, and then you try and disengage off the point when the enemy team dives you against the Winston with Primal Rage. You've got nowhere to run but towards that small ledge. If you were attacking the point yourself and you disengage, fine. Winston can't wreck you like that. But the way they played it there, they made themselves subject to the devastating power of Primal Rage because they literally put themselves to walk the plank.
Yeah, and right there at the beginning of that fight, it's Cup who falls for Singapore at the beginning while he's trying to drop his beat, so that entire push goes out the window for Singapore. But they do have 6 ultimates for this next fight. It's just a matter of how they combo them, how they use them. And they should be able to get a good advantage early.
All right, Mistakes, Pulse Bomb doesn't seem to connect either for the second time. He's struggling to make them work, but the rest of his team's been on the job. Leon Tears is going to get the tactical vibes. He's going to be left upon almost immediately. It's sound barriers coming out from both sides. Self-destruct finds Zest early on. That's the first pick that Russia may have been looking for. Jungyonzi, though, double kill with the Dragon Blade through. Can he find any more? Shadowburn will be looking to stop him. You can see the pip over on the point. It's back and forth fighting, and Shadowburn has his Dragon Blade ready to go. This could be frightening, but there's no one even there to see him pull it out.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to use a Dragon Blade here. It's going to be a deflect to a Shuriken to the face of Jungunji. Now the blade will come out. It's going to be able to take out one from Singapore. Trying to hold on is Zest in Primal Rage, just knocking around the players of Russia, but it will not be enough. You see Agent trying to get back towards the point. Rage and Tofu as well. It'll be Russia taking point 1.
And a bit of a stat for you. Big shout out to my friends over at Winston's Lab. If you are in a fight like we just saw there, so 6 ultimates to 3. Singapore had the 3 ultimates more than Russia. However, if you're the team with less ultimates, 3 less ultimates, and you get the first pick, your chance to win that fight is still 51%, statistically speaking. So we talk about ultimate economy so much in Overwatch, but actually that first pick means so much more, and that's what Russia are able to get. And again, I return to the idea, I like that Singapore got onto the point behind Russia, started backcapping. The problem is, if you do that, there is no escape. You must dive on them while the enemy team is trying to dive to get you back off the point. Instead of being knocked away by the Winston, you hate to see it or you love to see it. Really depends which side of the fence you're on. But that was probably, the gut-busting moment for Singapore in that round.
Well, you also saw when Singapore was up top and they invested the tac visor in, Russia had an easy exit back towards the point with sound barrier. And before we can even get into this match, it looks like Mistakes has already picked off Neon Tears on the Tracer. So you're trying to deal with all the pressure that Shadowburn's given in the front, just poking away with the Shurikens, and Mistakes is behind enemy lines. It is very difficult to deal with.
Okay, so what's even more demoralizing about that is Mistakes got slept darted. Agent cleaned him up with a sleep dart. He was down, and then Singapore were like, where's our burst damage? Who's going to kill this guy? Mistakes gets woken up. He recalls quickly. He's back to full health. Singapore miss a golden opportunity to make a pick, and then Russia punishes them for their positioning in the choke point because they were mid-step trying to set up.
It has to be so frustrating for Singapore. It's like, you're going to jump on Mistakes. Well, Shadowburn is going to just keep poking away, and then dive through you with a blade. you worry so much about Shadowburn, Mistakes is just going to pick you off. Nice play there by Neon Tears, able to take out Mistakes, so might make it a little bit easier for Singapore to manage this fight.
Dragonblade for Shadowburn coming in now. There's no nano boost there. It doesn't really, not really required at this stage. He's still trying to benefit from their Lucio healing, staying in that little field of view. That's also why Mistakes made a weird move on towards the point at half health. The Dragonblade here for Shadowburn doesn't really need to be, you know, an awe-inspiring one. He detracts enough attention, the rest of his team gets a lot of damage down behind him. It's 43% here. And remember, this is the best of 3. This could be over the second map very soon.
And I also think Shadowburn is so confident that he's going to be able to at least farm another blade during this fight, during this map, at least, if Russia's able to hold on to the point. But you see Mistakes put down some fire here. Now he's going to back all the way up. So it looks like Singapore is going to engage with some ults.
Yeah, they've got a few to work with. The nano boost here for Aijin. I don't really know where it's going to go. Maybe on towards Zest might be the correct decision right now. Sound barrier going to be used in this fight here. That's for Singapore. They're going to benefit, but not Neon Tears. He didn't get the overshield at all. Transcendence committed by Russia in response. They've also got a sound barrier now. They're in the best position they could be, ultimate economy-wise, and now they're just going to trickle those ults out. Rubicon with a sound barrier late in the fight, and Russia with an easy cleanup. No casualties whatsoever. They had the bank to take them all the way to the top in that fight. 80%.
And they're going to push Singapore all the way out. Yep, Zest getting right back into the spawn. He's like, I don't want to deal with that. As Russia one fight away here from taking map number 2.
Mistakes, hit and miss with his pulse bomb so far. On this map anyway. He's hoping to drop it on someone as they come through the door, but he can see now that Singapore are going to make their way around the outside. Mistakes wants to try and find someone in the back, and that might just be the one. Agent doesn't want to be there. He's going to go down to Mistakes. Nothing he can do about that one, and that's just the first pick. The rest is going to be a torrent of kills and of anguish for Singapore. They can't get on towards this point. Neon Tears is being battered around. We see the Winston of Zest. They're trying to stay alive as long as he possibly can. Self-destruct from Rage of Tofu doesn't really get much done at all. Or Asher are all over this like moss on a rock, Matt.
Yeah, and there is nothing Singapore can do about it. Rage of Tofu on the point. He is the last one up. He is down now. It'll be Russia taking map number 2.
Convincing stuff, to say the very least here. Russia may not have known what they were getting themselves into, but they at least knew what they were going to roll out with. You see that same composition working for them quite well. Mistakes comes in, I believe, for his first LAN event as well, being such a highly touted name in European Overwatch. There's got to be a lot, a lot of pressure here. He's performed admirably. There's no problem there. That last fight, huge pick-off. He went for the flank. He found Agent sort of straggling at the back of Singapore as they try and reposition themselves. That's the problem here as well. You understand, Zen's not very mobile. If you find him in the back of the pack as Tracer, it is the easiest pick-off, unless it's maybe Boombox or someone like that.
Especially towards the end there. I mean, when Mistakes is going on to the Singapore Zen, I don't remember who's playing it, but I mean, he is kind of far away from the pack, right? You already see his teammates kind of going in towards that mid-area, down towards the stairs. He is just an easy target there, Lo.
That's what I mean about catching teams mid-step when they're trying to set up for a fight. Russia's been very good at it, but now we're going to head to a quick break, and when we return, the desk will break down what we've seen so far. It's Russia 2-0 over Singapore.
And round 2 equally one-sided. They tried to backtrack.
Always remember that power is a double-edged blade. One side light, the other dark. It calls to you when you are most desperate. When victory seems worth any sacrifice. There is a price to be paid for such a gift. And many eagerly accept the bargain. The righteous and the meek may recoil at its cost. But they have no vision. Power alone is not to be feared. Fear instead those who wield it.
Welcome back to the halftime show, everyone. It is 2-0, for Russia and Singapore. Russia looking fantastic thus far. And I have to say, you know, I mean, it's, I guess this isn't shocking to be 100% honest with you, especially given the caliber of players on this Russian lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it's the players, it's the current meta, which just absolutely plays in their hands. If you're boasting one of the best tracers in Europe, one of the best Genjis in Europe, and then you also have a very competent team for every other role, then tough life for Singapore there. Really, really tough life for Singapore. I hope they would do something more out of the ordinary, but that was super unlucky. That moment, Sharik punched them all off the cliff. So unlucky. But yeah, no, I was kind of hoping they wouldn't just take them on a straight dive versus dive. I hope to see a little bit something else, but we didn't.
Yeah. And what about for you, James, on you know, the Singaporean side?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we see that when teams do play mirror matchups, that if you need two things to go right for the underdog team to win, right? The more successful team to play at a lower skill cap, and then, of course, the underdog team to play at the highest caliber possible. But at this point, this is where you just kind of need to go with the off-meta picks, right? Bring out more Reapers, bring out Sombras, anything that you can anything that you can use to just take them out of their comfort zone is what Singapore needs to do at this point, and that's how you're going to out-strategize. You cannot beat them. You're not at equal footing in this dive meta at this point, so you really do have to pull out the pocket strats.
Yeah, it did seem like Singapore had a plan all along. We talked about this. They're a team very focused on the strategy in the game. But they just didn't get any room to just do and work their magic because, I mean, Russia just have so many star players that are just poking them down from all different areas. I mean, you got a Winston in front of you just with great positioning and Sharik, and then you got Shadowburn laying in the poke damage with the Shurikens, and then you have Mistakes just flying around, flanking all over the place. Just a Tracer, they're so annoying.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
But you know what?
So
Never
happy
said
that
it
was
more
playing.
right hard.
You know,
Than just there.
you sound like such a frustrated tank player right there. But you want to know what's not frustrating? The T-Mobile gaming break. That's right. And we are going to talk about none other than Shadowburn, the one and only. This guy is an incredible player, has been in the space for quite some time now, a formidable Genji. And Reinforce, I want to get your thoughts on this guy here, because you seem like you want to be a Shadowburn fan, but you're reluctant. I want to get your thoughts
No,
here.
I am a Shadowburn fan, okay? He was one of the OG Genjis out there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, doing his working the magic on his Genji. Yeah, that's what he plays. So, I mean, there was a reason that after last BlizzCon, I mean, everyone talked about this guy as one of the highlight players in the world. Specifically in the Western region, because South Korea just...
I will say, he's main Lucio twice. You know, and
You can't ever have enough
protect the
Lucio.
pirates.
Let's face
you know,
it.
but the hero he is known for, folks, is this one right here, Genji. We
Just
saw
chilling.
some incredible plays from him at BlizzCon 2016 last year, leading into that final. Even at MLG Vegas, I remember like really analyzing a lot of his games and just being blown away by just the caliber of player that he is.
Yeah, and actually, one point I want to take away from this Russia lineup is that I just thought about right now.
Okay.
Is that Forsaken and Shadowburn, their teammates in FaZe, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Forsaken is a former FaZe
Yes.
player. Damn, that was disappointing.
That was your moment, and you missed it. But for now, the focus.
But they're great buddies. These guys have been playing together for like years, back in like Team Fortress 2. These guys, Forsaken and Shadowburn. And Forsaken on the Zenyatta is laying out the Discord orbs, which is very fitting for Shadowburn's Genji to take advantage of that. So maybe they have a bit synergy between those two.
That's right. And we had a moment to catch up with Shadowburn. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Oh, man, Shadowburn, good to see you here safely, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It was kind of tough to travel, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're here now,
Yeah.
and you're ready to get into this Overwatch World Cup and dive in head first. So tell me, man, like, what's the difference this year as opposed to last year?
Like last year, we had like many streamers in every team. So like in this year, I feel like every team had like a lot of pro players. So it's gonna be really hard, and every team could surprise each other.
Right, right. And you know what, speaking of that, you guys actually have a completely new team as of like just a week ago. You know, you guys made a few roster switches. How's those been for you? You feel like you guys have kind of gotten a little bit of an opportunity to mesh together?
Yeah, it was kind of tough to change rosters that late, but we like practiced a lot still. We had like at least 4 days to practice together, and we made some stuff. So we have some strats ready.
Cool. And is there anybody you're looking at as like the main threat in your group?
Canada.
Yeah. A lot of people have been talking about them. Well, you know what, man? I wish you the best of luck. Glad you made it in. Get some rest before tomorrow, all right?
Thank you.
All right, man. And guys, this has been another T-Mobile Unlimited Gaming Break.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Malik, for that one. Always good to hear from Shadowburn. Sounded very confident as well. You know,
Yeah.
typical Shadowburn.
Just
you know?
Shadowburn things. You know what I'm always amazed with him? He seems to always perform better on LAN. I don't know. Is that a thing for a player, Reinforce?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Twig is one of those players in my team. I mean, the guy just goes and dies in practice all the time. Like, Twig is really good. And then he just shows up in Sydney and he just hits pulse bombs pretty much all the time. Like, Twig, man, can you perform in practice, dude? Yeah, so there are definitely players that perform way better in practice, or way better on LAN, for sure. And Shadowburn is one of those players.
Yeah, you were also dealing with massive time differences in a lot of these tournaments. I mean, when he was playing contenders with FaZe, you know, he was playing way early into the morning until like 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5 or 6 into the morning.
That's unheard of a player to
ping.
actually stay up for that long. Since we usually go to bed so early.
Completely unheard of. I go to bed at 9 p.m. every day. Read a book before I go.
This is the meme desk, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're doing here. Oh man! All right. Well, let's refocus. Gather yourselves, people. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about map 3 here. It's going to be Singapore's pick. I want to say they're going to go with Horizon. I know it's a. I know
Bold move, then. It's bold.
It's a bold move. Thought real quick. What map?
Well, I say Horizon, I guess.
Horizon.
I want to see Horizon. I want to see Reaper out there.
Are you going to pull a flame?
I think they have a game plan, so I think they're going to bring out Volskaya.
Okay, you pulled out a flame. All right, so I believe we are ready to go for the game here. So we're going to go right into it with our friends Uber and Mr. X. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. Really quickly as well, there's a bit of a secret thing going on. Easter eggs, all right? You got to count how many hidden alpha casts that are in the show graphics as well. There may have been one so far, there may not have been. Just keep an eye on that one. But now it's 2-0. Matt, you can't win the competition because you helped me plant them.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you didn't see that?
No, I have no idea.
Good.
No,
That's good.
that went right over my head. I was hoping you weren't going to ask me if I've caught one, because I had no idea what we were talking about.
I hope you have, well, I mean, there may or may not have been one. There may or may not be a prize as well. Probably not. But Horizon is going to be our third map of this series. And it's probably no surprise to see that one. I mean, I'm sorry, Reinforce. I think it was one you thought would be Volskaya. But look, realistically, you're Singapore. This is a map you think you can get a surprise on, although it's been out for a little while now. You don't feel like playing Volskaya. You're playing a bizarre defense composition. This is very strange. Okay, so Zarya, Winston, Mei, and Reaper. I guess maybe not that crazy, but still.
Well, when we spoke to Singapore, they actually said they enjoy Horizon. They wanted to play this map, and they wanted to run Reaper on it. So you think, you know, there comes this map pick. You like this, you built the strategy. Let's give it a go.
I'm cool with Reaper because you've just got to face the music against him. If you want to capture the point, you need to remove Reaper, and Reaper excels at this kind of range. The Mei's an interesting choice. It's great for stalling, but, you know, we'll have to see. Neon Teaser's already up to about 28%, so he must be hitting a couple ice spikes off screen. Sharika's going to give it a tickle, though. Zest is already down to half health. That needs to be kept an eye on here for the Singaporean side. Wall comes up, but Sharik just goes over it.
Yeah, very nice bait of the wall there from Sharik. Neon Tears gets low, and there goes the Reaper. Now Mei is going to fall as well, and here comes the dive from Russia. They baited that Mei wall out perfectly, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. It's why teams started running Winston and Diva, actually, just because they could get back over the wall when it came up there. So it's great, and the idea to split the team, but you're defending on this square point. There are 3 sides that you can enter this from. One Mei wall is not going to dissuade an attacking team sufficiently to stop them in their tracks or to split them in half, and Russia has just followed up as well and kept the pressure going. Quite nicely done. And now, let's see Chow actually switch over towards a Soldier 76, so this is interesting here. We have a triple DPS approach from Russia. They're going to get aggressive.
Yeah, they're just going to bring the firepower here towards the end. Try and end it early as Shadowburn has the blade. Just trying to figure out which way they're going to go, how they're going to go about using this. So you also see the Pharah being brought out from Singapore here towards the end, and it's actually Chungunji actually able to take out Chow on the 76, so not going to have that firepower to take out Pharah in the air, but the blade comes in from Shadowburn. The nano boost actually goes onto the Pharah as well for Singapore. It's going to be Singapore looking like they're going to hold on in this fight.
Yeah, not too bad. We saw the snow globe come out there. The Blizzard was used on Russia and it actually drew forth the Transcendence from Forsaken. Even still, the fact that Singapore could set up and pick on Russia after they sort of came out of that one was pretty comfortable for them. So now we might have seen Chow switch to 76 to deal with Yonggunji here on this Pharah. Maybe not. Neon Tears playing that Soldier 76 now. So Singapore are drastically changing their team composition now. May's very weak against long-range poke, which is why 76 can give her a lot of grief, can force an early, an early ice block out of her. So this is fine. Singapore now, Pharah 76. Definitely not a standard composition.
No, not by any stretch. And you see Chow going to get set up top. With Soldier 76, he's going to land a Helix Rocket, and look how far he's pushed 3 members of Singapore back into their base. He's going to get dove on here, and it's going to be Junggunji again with the Pharah, able to take him out. The Winston dove on him, caused the distraction. Nice play there from Zest. Because now he's taking out Shadowburn with the Primal Rage. So looks like Singapore will be able to hold on again.
After the first pick, in fact, it looked like Russia were happy just to back away there after losing a few. Zest actually dives very deep for that one, potentially risky on towards mistakes, but the defender spawns so much closer that you can take a few of those calculated risks and try and pick someone off and just stagger out the attackers here. So for Russia, they have been waylaid thus far, and Chow is actually going to switch back over towards the D.Va here.
I was just going to ask you, when do you think we'll see him switch over towards D.Va? And it's interesting, he makes that change. I believe he's like 98% to attack visor. I mean, with 5 minutes left almost, a little bit under that, you may as well just try to use attack visor, see if you can make something happen, then switch back to the D.Va.
I call it discipline, to be honest with you, Matt. You can shut down the Pharah in a 76 really effectively from the D.Va roll now. Shadowburn's going to get back in behind. It's going to be Russia with the sound barrier to work with, and Shadowburn has that nano blade to go for here. Junggunji is actually up with a nano blister on the Pharah, which is bizarre, and you can see he subjects himself to so much damage by using the barrage out in the open. The damage reduction wasn't enough to keep him alive.
Yeah, it's almost weird saying you wouldn't want to see the rocket barrage there, but it keeps him immobile. He's not able to really get a lot from the nano boost, as Russia, they've gotten that first tick, trying to get more here.
Yonggunji now switching over towards the Sombra here, so every pick for Singapore, they're more than happy to try a bit of everything, but Chow gets 2 kills there on a D-suit to his name, and this should be Russia now setting up a decent fight on the point here. Sharik staying alive in the back, he eventually gets picked off, the Yonggunji getting 2 quick kills, and somehow Russia are being bundled off the point. Chow's taken down by Neon Tears, and Singapore get back in after giving up 2 ticks.
This is a valiant hold from Singapore. Russia unlocks point 2, they have about 6 minutes to go. Now we're at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Here, Singapore's held on. They've changed up a lot of different heroes to make it happen. But right now, Mitch, they're not working with any ultimates. You do have the Transcendence on the side of Russia, and you do have the D.Va Bomb as well.
It's still about the first pick for Russia. They still want to force a fight and focus down a single target fairly early on. They switched away from the triple DPS to something a bit more sensible. Now they're getting a lot of damage on towards Zest here. You can see his half health on the point. He's got no one to really protect, no one to benefit from the bubble. And now the Transcendence comes in. It's responded by a sound barrier for Singapore as they back off the point and try and stay alive. But they don't have a margin here. The point's almost capped. It's 89.8%.
Well, they popped the sound barrier and then they all backed up, so they really get nothing for it. You see mistakes with one. Shadowburn's going to dash straight through Neon Tears. Rage of Tofu trying to stay on the point. Here comes the D.Va ultimate as well. And Russia is doing a fantastic job.
Russia like little ducks in a row behind the girder to avoid the blast from the self-destructive D.Va. I love it. They move off the point, and that's synchronized Overwatch for you, ladies and gentlemen. They'll then take the point up for returning. However, this is a fast-paced map, and attacking teams often find success. For Russia to only have a 2-minute, 45-second time bank, that's not exceptional. They're not going to light the world on fire with that time. So now they need to think to themselves, right, to make up for this, let's stop Singapore in their tracks.
Yeah, they need a good hold here on the first point. We see a lot of teams just get that first point. I know well, actually, we see teams get stalled out on that first point. It's really the second one that's kind of difficult to defend. Singapore did a good job. Towards the end of that, they were bending. They eventually broke there from Russia. But I just think Russia's aggression is going to be way too much for Singapore here when Russia goes on the attack.
One thing to Singapore's credit. Now, we sometimes are a little bit critical of teams who make these rapid hero switches without considering things like Ultimate Economy, Misfits for a team that sort of had this issue, if you go back towards the Take TV event most recently. Definitely Johnny's fault, 100%, not Fix's fault. I don't know what he's talking about. If you're switching like this, you're putting pressure on Russia. So Russia made this switch towards triple DPS comp, and Singapore identified this very quickly on and said, all right, we're going to have 76 and Pharah now, we're going to make this work. And they're switching to Sombra, and now they're switching to something else and something else. So eventually, teams get to a point where they need to change something. The only criticism you could level at Singapore is perhaps that they're not sticking with the one comp for long enough. But I honestly do believe this switching of heroes for Singapore so far has been what's kept Russia on their toes. Forcing Chow to switch to 76 to deal with Mei, then you just switch the Mei off to a 76 of your own, and the mind games continue. So I like that. It's a cerebral approach from Singapore. They're thinking deeply about the interactions between their composition and Russia's, and that's a good start.
See what Russia can do here on defense as we see their comp. They're going to be running the Sombra here, so it'll be Forsaken on Sombra. I know we were talking a little bit pre-game. Will it be Forsaken? Will it be Shadowburn? I think he's way too good to take off a Genji. You need that in this team.
Definitely won't see much of Shadowburn and Sombra. Forsaken though as well, as a flex support, that's definitely his role. If he's a sick Zenyatta, sometimes the Sombra is a good way to go here. So seeing a lot of variation from Russia when we thought we maybe wouldn't actually. We thought everyone would sort of stick to that 2-2-2 with Tracer Genji. Neon Tears gets a quick hack on Shadowburn. He's very vulnerable right now. He can't dash away. He's caught inside the room. Young Gunji is going to be able to jump upon him. And Singapore trade 1-for-1 so far in this fight. Neon hoping to try and get a little bit of a hack on towards Shao, but he's making himself scarce for the moment here. Someone got hacked, I think it was Forsaken jumping across. Now Singapore with a couple kills, they're getting the ball rolling, but Neon Tears going down. This should slow them and force them back.
Yeah, I think the Sombra definitely threw Russia off at the start. I think, Russia, they come in, they run the Sombra. You see Singapore turn the corner. They saw the health pack was hacked. And it definitely threw them off guard, though. Singapore was able to hack Shadowburn, then he hacked the D.Va. D.Va was able to get away. Shadowburn falls to the beginning. But still, the just kind of element of surprise was not enough for Singapore to get close to the point.
How many heroes do these guys play? This is unbelievable. Yongonji now is on that Tracer pick. I mean, Aijin is on the Widowmaker here. Rage of Tofu back towards Zarya. Singapore, it's super hard to follow. Now Singapore coming with a triple DPS, but not the triple DPS you ever expect to see. This is almost, okay, if you swap the Sombra out for a Genji, it's like what Misfits did at DreamHack. It was like the new triple DPS dive, but the Sombra's in there, so it just makes it all kind of interesting. Neon Tears is hacked there by the EMP, though, Forsaken, and now it's going to be a Russia whitewash.
Yeah, once the EMP comes in, you just see how coordinated the Russia team is. Everybody stacked up, running through the side of Singapore. They're going to get D.Va to mech here pretty late, so they're going to wait to Zest. Oh, Zest is going off the moon side, I think.
So let's watch Russia's positioning, how they set up for this next fight here. They're just going to keep Zest alive as well. He's going to have to go into the trash disposal. No Mistakes deals with him here. So Mistakes setting up very close. Note Russia out using a heck of a lot of high ground. I'm actually more than happy to stand and sort of, stand and receive from this level. Mistakes just goes for the Pulse Bomb. Now, he tries to stick the Pulse Bomb and the shield was still up for Rage of Tofu, so that just doesn't really connect there at all. The timing was maybe half a second off or less. And that's another fizzled Pulse Bomb for Mistakes in a game where there's been plenty of them.
And I think if you're Singapore, you've got to get something with your EMP here. You've got to connect with a few of the players from Russia, really get a lot out of that ult ability, and then start to move on in. And see Shadowburn does have the Dragon Blade, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be the EMP already out for Singapore, so he does not get picked up in that. It's going to be 3 kills, make it 4 though for Singapore. They should be able to get over towards that point.
Yeah. Good setup here for Singapore. The EMP opened it up, and then they used the sound barrier just to make it even harder for Russia to do anything against them. That's like definitely giving yourself a huge advantage over the foe. They can't use abilities, and you've got
I would say so.
Yeah. I don't want to use like the term handicapping there, but Russia were definitely behind the 8 ball as that one began. Forsaken didn't have ult. Shadowburn knew he had the presence of mind to hold his, and Russia had to concede the first point.
Yeah, it was smart by Shadowburn. I mean, if that would have stalled out for a little bit longer, maybe he had some teammates fighting on the point, maybe you see the blade come in after the sound barrier, but
they died too quickly, I feel. Yeah. I mean, you can use it here as well. It could buy you an entire fight. Now, with Singapore actually ahead in time at the moment, we'll see how long it takes for him to hit this point. Ultimate-wise, they've got a Graviton, which could really bust open Russia, but the follow-up ults is not really there at this stage. They really need to make sure they get the damage in now. EMP got to come out this time for Russia, and Neon Tears can't do anything but try and chase down his opposite number. He can't fight for Shaken, and again, Russia open a fight with the EMP, and they get a dominant victory. Both these teams are showing trends of an EMP initiation into a convincing fight victory.
And the EMP is so good that once you connect with a few players of the opposing team, you don't need to invest any other ultimate abilities into it, so you don't have to use the Dragon Blade on Shadowburn. You have that available for the next fight. EMP, I mean, when you connect with it, it really causes a lot of chaos.
Use of EMP also actually technically gives a bit of ult advantage to your opposition team because they can't use their ult.
Yeah, in a way.
And they can still accrue ultimate percentage through the course of the fight. So they come back maybe with more ults than they did in the previous fight. But it's all about preventing them from getting them off. That's the kind of the point. Graviton's here for Rage of Tofu. Still hasn't used that one yet.
And maybe you're looking to combo it with a Pulse Bomb, which you see, we're about 60% of the way to getting that Pulse Bomb on the side of Singapore. Singapore is actually working their way towards another EMP as well, so they're going to have a lot of ultimates coming up here soon.
Rage of Tofi struggling to get a lot of energy here as well, frantically trying to give shields to some of his allies, but Russia are either respecting the shield or they're just not shooting the targets. Either way, Shadowband's found Neon Tears, so that's the first pick in the fight. That means Singapore probably need to back away here. They don't want to get picked off any further. Russia are banking a lot of ults here. Look at this. They don't even have to use them. Another EMP's up for Forsaken here. This could be nasty.
Yeah, they have a lot to work with as well for this next fight. I mean, they're going to have the sound barrier to stall it out. You see Rage and Tofu falling here towards the end of that fight. Same with the Jin. So now, you're Singapore, you have to back all the way out.
It's possible that Singapore are feeling like they have a lack of damage, and I agree with that. You're playing Sombra in a double DPS composition. So Sombra is one of your DPSs, right? Not consistent, not necessarily reliable damage. But now when you switch off of it, Russia are like, oh, brilliant. We don't have to worry about a Sombra here. We've got one of our own. We've got EMPs. We can have free reign when it comes to the hackathon.
Right, which a lot of the time Sombra takes the place of one of the supports. So you see they go in, the EMP comes through from the side of Russia. Zest going to be forced to back up. Rage of Tofu's going to fall at the hands of Forsaken, and all Zest can do is try and fly away. He may not even make it all the way back. Okay, he finally has made it all the way back, but get some teammate support. Not the support you want because you're back in your own spawn.
And you can see the EMP gives Singapore no choice but to be disciplined and hold on to these ultimates, right? So now they have 5 to work with. This is their best opportunity. They have a Pulse Bomb, they have a Graviton Surge. It's got to be now. They've given Russia so much time. They need to respect Chow's ability just to let a defense matrix go. Yongunji needs to make sure this Pulse Bomb sticks. So we'll see how the combo works together. Russia know that Rage of Tofu has an ultimate bank. They know they haven't seen a Graviton, so they're going to try and stay spread as much as they can over this point.
Yeah, and they do have the sound barrier to get through it. And there comes the Graviton Surge. It's going to be Sharik, though, taking out Rage of Tofu. Here comes the D.Va ultimate as well. Gets nobody. Forsaken with one, Sharik with another. And here comes Gunji. He's able to get that Pulse Bomb on a Rubicon. He's able to take out Chow as well. See if he can stay on the point, do some damage. Forsaken with his EMP. He's going to work back towards the point with Shadowburn. It'll be another hold here from Russia.
Yeah, look, Yongunji is definitely a standout player for Singapore so far. But you saw what happened there. Russia knew the grab was coming. They split up. Singapore already got 1 kill off the back of it. Yongunji used the Pulse Bomb there. They didn't have this dream combo. And that's what happens when you're up against a team that's so mobile on a point that features multiple levels. So much space to spread out and deal with it. It's very, very hard to get them all together and just blow them up.
Yeah, now if you're Singapore, I mean, look, you just have that tac visor. Chow's going to just get right in your face with the Matrix. You know, and look at all the other members of Russia. They have ultimate abilities as well. As here comes another EMP, Shadowburn going behind the enemy lines, and here's going to be a Dragon Blade.
Yeah, I mean, Aijin can't even get a sleep dart on him because he was hacked the whole time, so he's just at the mercy of Shadowburn. Now with Decent on towards the D.Va, Chow finds Yongunji over on the point, and there's a minute left for Singapore. They had 5 ultimates. Whether it was their choice to bank them or not, because of the EMP constantly being used against them every other fight, they've burnt through that bank. They've got nothing but a tactical visor, and guess what? Chow's playing D.Va. That can be mitigated by the press of literally 1 button on the side of Russia.
And then if, I mean, Chow drops, you do have the sound barrier to try and sustain through it as well. So Russia has the tools to close this one out here. We'll see. It's really on Neon Tears if he can get anything going with that tac visor.
Shadowman lurking around the side. Singapore set up on the high ground. Yongunji finds a pick early on. This could be the opening Singapore are looking for. Sound barrier out for Russia. They realize they're at a deficit early. They need to try and cover that. Give themselves a little bit of extra health. They're going to use the overshield to start a fight, but they still trades 1 for 1. Chow finds A in, and that's it. Russia realize they give an advantage early, so they back up, they double down, they sound barrier out, and they win a convincing fight yet again. There's 15 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, Rage of Tofu's trying to get out, but with only 15 seconds, maybe they're able to get back on the point and get a touch, but you see the pressure Mistakes is putting on. Does not want to let Singapore get back close to this point.
Mistakes is able to back away. He's down to 100 HP, but that's fine. He's going to have a Pulse Bomb fairly soon. Neon Tears using Tac Visor is going to be a Nano Boost down. 2 kills so far for Singapore. This could be that opening. EMP's used in response by Russia over on the point. Rage of Tofu gets blown up. Chow also found Zest with the damage from the blast here. Rage of Tofu, while being desuited, is able to find a pick, but Sharik just swats him aside with his hands. There's always 2 ticks for Singapore up on this point, and Sharik has to do it on his own, but he's fine. He's got so much health, drops the shield, and the cavalry's arrived. Pulse Bomb doesn't connect on towards Cup, but the rest of Russia have got themselves here. Overtime is done, and Russia will take map number 3 of this series.
At the end of that map, Mitch, Singapore, they get like 2 or 3 picks at the beginning. I believe there's only 2 or 3 players on the point alive for Russia. And Sharik there, you know, with the Primal Rage, just extending the time, Shadowburn off the spawn with a blade. A tremendous play there from those players to hold off that final point.
So we're seeing 2 sides of the same coin from Russia here in this particular game. First, when they have things like EMP on the defense, they're initiating fights with that ultimate. They're going in for the fight and they're managing to win it out. And then, we're seeing good reactive use of ultimates by Russia as well. Oh, our Tracer just got picked off. Rubicon uses Sound Barrier. Oh, that last fight, 2 of their players got picked off and they respond with an EMP just to give them the edge. So they're very, very good at mitigating early disadvantages. So if things go wrong, there's always a panic button. There's always, a margin of error that they can sort of exist between, and they can give themselves a fighting chance even when the worst happens and they lose the first couple kills of a fight.
We have seen a lot of strong play here at the Overwatch World Cup today. Russia looking very strong with their dive comp. The combination of Mistakes, Sharik, and Shadowburn. It's been devastating, and I mean, honestly, I think they're going to keep doing this to teams until they really start to get a problem. I mean, I think those 3 players are so talented in what they do in the dive that I don't think you're going to see them trying to play a lot of games, change it up. I think they're going to commit to this until somebody really gives them an issue.
But we say that there's this sort of, I don't know, set in stone heuristic for Russia, but we've seen 2-2-2 with Tracer Genji. We've seen triple DPS with Chow on the Soldier 76.
Sombra as well.
He's a DPS main. Sombra's come out there as well. So lo and behold, Russia now have 3 facets to apply instead of just the one. Well, we thought, well, given the players' pedigrees, they just play that. So having Chow, I'm sure Chow's probably not a fan of sort of maybe not being able to play the Tracer, which is what he's normally known for now with Mistakes on the team. But now in that flex, he can be a true flex in this role. He can not only play that Diva so effectively, but pulls out the Soldier 76 and makes an impact there as well. This is a really nice looking setup for Russia.
Well, you can also see the change between years as well, right? I mean, last year, a lot of their plan was, let's get Shadowburn Blade, let's give him a nano boost, and let's get him go in. And obviously now a different roster here, this year's Overwatch World Cup.
Well, if you tell Team Liquid about that, they did that with Shatter even up to last month. So they still like that approach, but not all teams go for it now, because the Ana can be a liability against dive teams.
Yeah, but now you see, I mean, just a different team, obviously a little bit deeper hero pools. They're able to do some very nice things. The last map will be Route 66. Be Escort. Now, I know, speaking of Singapore, this is their favorite game type, so maybe they find a little bit comfort here on Route 66.
Yeah, remember, Escort is different to Hybrid in the fact that there's not that first control point that you need to take. That was the stumbling block for Singapore in our first match, the fact that they had to have control at this point. Now it's a pure Escort map, right? So you have to control the payload from the very beginning, and that's got to be playing into Singapore's wheelhouse now. Definitely need to be mentioned that Yongunji is an excellent player. He has been going off. Look, it's really easy to see his presence mitigated because of how Russia have been responding well. But he's getting the first 1 or 2 picks in a lot of these fights. He's been very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, even in a lot of the Tracer battles, between him and Mistakes, you've seen him, get Mistakes low, back him all the way down. You've been seeing him getting some picks.
And this isn't like, him going head-to-head with some bargain bin Tracer. This is, as of Monday, the #1 ranked player in Europe, and arguably, as Johnny will tell you, the best Tracer in the continent.
Bargain bin is such an Australian thing.
You've never heard that one?
It's like, yeah, I've heard it. I mean, my fiance is Australian, so
True.
Yeah, I do have some history with Australia. But I do agree with you. I mean, it is a top performance against another top player in the same type of role.
And that's something to hang your hat on, regardless of what happens to Singapore from here on out. However, we're going to have a Sombra on the attacking side here for Neon Tears. Cyberpunk name as heck. And it's going to be looking for those EMPs to start the dash Russia aside. It's going to be a Sombra versus Sombra kind of game again. You can see that already around the sides. Mistakes is teasing, trying to get a bit of control. Neon Tears wants to switch. Something has triggered him here to respond by a complete switch of 76. I have to wonder what that is.
Yeah, it's very interesting to just abandon the Sombra right away. As you do see the Sombra out from Russia, you see how fast Forsaken's getting that ultimate ability. Wait for the EMP to come in.
It could be because Russia already has the front health packs hacked. So it's like you either have to wait for them, because you can't hack a hacked health pack.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You sort of have to wait for that to be under your control.
And then you're not really getting your ultimate ability as fast as you would have liked, right?
Because people think that EMP doesn't give you all the health packs in the area. It doesn't hack health packs, right? So it's a little bit hard to fight for that control. If you've already lost it, maybe you don't bother trying to regain it. Zest given a pulse bomb, a little bit of a gift from Russia with love. He's going to fall down pretty comfortably, and Neon Tears needs to sit back. So this Soldier 76 now, he wants to try and use some safe positioning, maybe hope that Russia overextend with someone like Mistakes, who might eat a Helix rocket at point-blank range, or Forsaken trying to go deep. But that EMP is available now for the aforementioned. And Russia are going to give Singapore a lot of problems in this next fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Russia's going to have, their Primal Rage. They're going to have the EMP. They'd have Sound Barrier already. You'll have a Diva Ultimate as well coming up. And Blade, I mean, you're going to have literally everything to work with if you're Russia. And they have just pushed Singapore so far back. You see, they're even struggling to get around this choke, and here comes the EMP.
Now, let's see if Singapore can disengage off this and not lose too much. No, Agent's going to get caught out there by Mistakes pretty comfortably. Yongunji now backing up, has the Dragon Blade here. Attack fires are being used here for Neon Tears. What can he find with it? Zest is already knocked off the cliff, and Russia doing their best Houdini impression and just make a quick disengage, and Neontears gets nothing for it.
Yeah, you use the tac visor there. I mean, Chao is alive, just standing by the payload with the defense matrix, and everybody else just backs around the corner for the side of Russia, and Singapore doesn't have enough members to get on the payload, push it around, maybe gain some kind of advantage. I mean, maybe they try to use it just so they can push them back, get the payload around the corner, open up some more space, but very odd there from the side of Singapore.
It's a sound barrier in response from Russia. That's definitely the appropriate move. It's correct, in fact, and it's keeping them alive through most of this onslaught. Rubicon is caught out by the self-destructive rage of Tofu, and Yongunji is going to be hacked out here. Oh my lord! Chao is going to bring that fallout. They're going to be scrubbing Route 66 for years after that one. Filthy! It's a 4-man self-destruct, and Singapore is still trying to come to terms with what just happened to them.
Singapore was like, we got this, we're going on the payload, and then all of a sudden, we were actually on with Forsaken. You see the EMP go, and you could hear the Diva ultimate in the sky, and I was like, oh, maybe one. And then as soon as I saw where everybody Singapore was, I was like, oh, maybe all.
Get your Geiger counters out, boys. All right, fair enough. So, Singapore now, just a little bit of a break in step. They've got a minute left to come forward. They've got a nano boost here to use, so I don't really actually know where that's been committed to. Zest, by the looks of things. Good decision here, considering no one else has big ultimates to play with. But only Rubicon's been found out now. Chao's already responded by getting rid of Rage of Tofu's mech, but Zest has done his job. He's found 2 kills in this fight. Mistakes, though, looking to do one better. He's found 2 himself.
It's huge plays by Mistakes, because Rubicon dies at the beginning. You have that healer out of the equation. And Chao, Forsaken, and Mistakes hold on to the payload here for Russia. Now they're going to get the support back off spawn. We'll see if Singapore, now Neontears with another tac visor. Let's see if he can get in a better position, use this a little bit more effectively.
Yeah, like where? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Goes on the high ground, he gets chased down by Chao. Low ground,
he should
line
just fly.
of sight. Yeah, he should just fly. So you get sprout wings and fly immediately. Mercy mine, by the way. Right, well, he's got it ready to go. Let's see though. Sound barrier comes in. This is for Singapore. So now Neontears gets hacked. He doesn't even get the chance to use that tactical visor. Shadowburn and Chao shut him down 2v1. And Singapore, that was their biggest chance. It was one of them at the very least, but he's not going to have a chance to use his ultimate at all. Matt is going to have to desperately come in for a bit of stall to make it happen. Again, self-destruct on the point by Chao. This time, not quite as explosive, but definitely sending the same message, is to get off our lawn.
Yeah, and you see the tac visor coming in at the end here, but I mean, Chao just gets right in the space. It's way too late. And I gotta say, Forsaken with the EMPs was so good in this first half for Russia.
What's going on though? Somehow Neontears actually gets a kill with the tac visor and finds Shadowburn with a beautiful Helix rocket. That may still not be enough, because again, Shriek is that last man on the payload. Rage of Tofu's getting battered around, and there was no chance. A glimmer, a small
very little
of hope for Singapore, but it's snuffed out in an instant.
Yeah, it was the EMPs from Rubicon that were very effective. I feel like every time he EMP'd, he caught most of the members of Singapore, and that big one at the end, well, I mean, the big one with the Diva ultimate, that was awesome. That was cool. We all like to see, explosions, things happen. But, the big one, stopping Neontears from using that tac visor towards the end. And then you kind of use it in, like, almost garbage time, right? I mean, you're stalling out the payload. You're coming back from the spawn.
Bargain bin hour. The bargain bin happy hour,
I'm going to have to adopt that phrase. That was
$2 shop rush hour.
Yeah, that was about as good as use as he could get. I mean, coming out of the spawn, he sees maybe one in front of him. He gets a kill, but...
And here's the sad part. Like, we kind of... We got excited about the possibility of that tac visor coming through, and even if he got it before overtime, without being hacked, there's still going to be a Diva. That's the problem. There's such a huge threat from that Diva that you really can't get a lot of damage done with that, especially in this situation with Diva. What we're looking at on the screen now, this is where that fight was happening. The Diva can just jump over the edge. I don't think I've ever seen the golden box of victory so close to the attacking spawn on this map before. I mean, Singapore have no options. They have one fight. They actually have to hold right here on the corner and engage after the payloads move like 10 meters.
Well, I just think it's a fantastic defense in that first half by Russia, right? I mean, they take this corner. They're able to take the Mega Health Pack. We saw 2 or 3 EMPs farmed right away. And they don't let the payload come around the corner, and then Singapore actually uses some ults to just try and get it around the corner, open up some space.
Spending so much just to make very small ground. That's what you want to do. You want to make the transaction very unfavorable for the enemy team in terms of trading ultimates for distance, which is exactly what this game type actually is, if you want to distill it down to its essence.
Yeah, and it's going to be Singapore on defense. They have to literally play perfect to hold this. We'll see if they can do it.
Russia paved the way with a very impressive, aggressive defense set up here. They found Zest on his own. He might get caught out. He gets away, but only just. They're going to follow this one in. He overextended slightly, but somehow slips away to the solace and safety of his backline. Quick heal, and he'll be back in the fight. But that's very lucky stuff for Singapore.
Yeah, but him getting that low at the beginning of the game is going to force him back, cause a lot of commotion on the other end. It is Zesto taking out Sharik at the beginning, and Jen will fall to the hands of Shadowburn. As Russia still on the payload and moving it very closer towards the end.
Well, it looks like Shadowburn and Yungunji have the same idea here. It might be the duel between the two of them. Oh, it doesn't last very long. It's the right-click Shadowburn finds the head of Yungunji when those shurikens, and now he's got freedom to poke around from the backside. Zest has been indomitable so far for Singapore, but again, he's lacking teammates, he's lacking time, and the payload is awful close to that yellow box of victory. You can see the cleanup crew is in full effect now. Shadowburn as well, continuing to poke from the sides. Desperate times from Singapore as they throw themselves at this.
Yeah, and Rage of Tofu's out of the mech. Neon Tear is the only one up, and that should be all.
Across the line, Russia have made it, and it's get another 4-0. It's been quite the day for it. As we see the first reveal of many of our teams here at the Overwatch World Cup group stage in Katowice, but Russia looked very good. And you know what? They were able to do it not only without reinventing the wheel, but by showing us more than just one composition. A bit of flexibility goes a heck of a long way in Overwatch.
Yeah, and it was very difficult for Singapore there at the end. I mean, Russia is spawning so close to the payload, which is so close to the end of the map, you know, the golden box, to be able to win that game mode. It's just, there was really nothing Singapore could have done.
Well, you have a huge spawn advantage.
Yeah, Russia has just a big spawn advantage. You know, they're coming up right there. I mean, Russia could have probably played that, you know, just kept staggering, you know, just keep jumping on it. Probably would have pushed it further enough. You know, maybe one or two, you know, Dragon Blade kills from Shadowburn would have been enough to get it towards that end.
There's definitely a feeling of, inexorability going up against that. It's like an avalanche. It's like, we cannot hold this payload here. It's literally 20 meters outside their spawn.
A lot of pressure.
There's 5 or 4 minutes for them to do so, and it's just a huge buffer for the attacking team. But Russia paved the way for that. They played this sick, aggressive defense, and it's notable. It's something that we should really take note of there. But now we're going to head to a bit of a breakdown of the game after a quick commercial break. We've had some fantastic games today. There's much more to talk about. We'll see you after.
All right. Well, thank you so much to the guys over there, Uber and X. What a game that was for the Russians, as they looked absolutely incredible.
They did.
Some great moments from them, Zoe.
I mean, everyone, literally every single player there just showed us why they are in the roster, why they're playing the role they're playing. They showed flexibility, they showed dominance. And you know what? This very match and this very performance of them and what we've seen from Canada so far makes me super excited to see those two teams clashing. But I think we have to wait for that one until day 3.
Yeah. All right. We'll get to the schedule in a little bit. All right. James, want to talk about Singapore here because, there were some takeaways for this team coming out of it and a learning experience as well going up against the Russians.
Yeah, definitely. They weren't stubborn is one of the more important things that we saw coming out from Team Singapore, right? We saw in the first 2 maps that they tried to match toe-to-toe in that dive composition and didn't work out for them. But we go to Horizon Lunar Colony and we just have all these different picks coming out. We had a Mei, we had a Reaper, a Pharah on point B of Horizon, which you never see, which did actually have some success and did stall out Russia. So I'm glad that they are experimenting there and trying new things. And really, I remember speaking to them. They said this is going to be a learning experience for them. They're not expecting to walk away and move on to BlizzCon, but they're going to try and learn as much as they can. And you can see that they are.
Yeah, and I just agree with Jamerson here. I mean, they tried really hard. I mean, I don't think you can try any harder. They just tried so many different compositions. I kind of like the Pharah. Because when you think about it, there's a ledge on the top of the map on the second point, so she can recharge her jetpack just above the point and playing Kala safe. But then on other maps, like this one right here on Route 66, they play the Soldier and Genji comp, which I don't really agree with, especially versus a Sombra. Because you don't have that Tracer in the backline of Russia. You don't have that much power in your dives with your Genji. When you're playing versus a Sombra, you don't really have room enough to poke, which you have to do when you're playing Soldier and Genji comp like they did there.
Yeah, it was, again, they're trying out different things. We did see them eventually change things up, especially in their defensive run. But at that point, it was just already too late. I mean, Singapore just really couldn't find what they wanted out of that one. But back to the Russian squad here, and, really, like, Shadowburn playing great, Forsaken having some moments.
Xiao had a deep moment. I'm going to tell my grandkids about that one. Like, 4 guys just swept off the map like that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and that was a nice insurance for the future of the Russian squad, because he was like kind of like the question mark of the squad. You know, is he gonna perform?
Yeah.
He's not a natural diva player. He has some experience, and he wants to flex, and he wants to play diva. He wants to learn. You know, so it was a good candidate for the role.
So I was right the whole time when I said earlier that he's looking forward to the experience.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
You know?
Yeah, that's a stretch.
Don't take this from me, Zoe. Don't
All right,
take this
you can
from
keep
me.
it, keep
Something.
it. All right, keep it, and he did good.
So from the...
He learns to love Diva.
You're the worst. James, what about you?
No, Russia does look top-notch. We saw mistakes just popping off once again, over and over again with that Tracer. Of course, Shadowburn had some great blades, and Sherrick was just doing a great job. The entire squad, you know, really living up to the expectations that a lot of people did. And we talked about it earlier on. They had to swap in 2 new people last minute, and they are just meshing.
Doesn't
like
look like
nothing
it
happened at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Golden Boy, the man who knows everything apparently. Let me ask you, do they have a shot versus South Korea, Russia?
Oh, South Korea and Russia?
Yeah. Do
You know,
you think Russia has a
Everyone's really like, okay, look, I'm going to be very honest here.
Please.
Yes, South Korea is an incredible team, and without a doubt, they are the heavy favorites. I mean, it's like 50 tons of favoritism that's going. That's how the weight is scaled. Anyway, point being, I still think that teams like Russia, like Canada, and maybe even the Netherlands can give them a bit of a challenge. Will that challenge result in a victory? I don't know. But let's go ahead and talk about this.
There's more sugar in that statement than in a soda, damn it.
Hey, man, if there's one thing I ain't, baby, it ain't salt. So anyway, let's talk about the schedule here, or what we saw, actually, today. It was basically Sweep City. You know, call the street sweepers over here because we got to clean up the streets. The streets is real.
The streets.
Okay? And it was basically 4-0s across the board.
I like consistency like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
very
it.
pleasing,
It's
yeah.
Very lucky.
Super pleasing
Thank
to
you,
look at.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Very lucky. Some
Super
lucky consistency.
That's very lucky.
Yeah, and you know, hey, I mean, at the end of the day, right, for a lot of these players, it is an experience. It is something that they want to take away from and learn from. And for Austria and Poland, though, the road is not done. The road is not closed for them quite yet, as Netherlands and South Korea are up 4-0 in their group. South Korea, though, I mean, we will be lying to you. We didn't believe that they would go undefeated into the playoffs with how they played today. Let's take a look at the other side, though, at Group F when we get a chance, because it was about the same thing there, you know?
Yeah.
4-0s for the Canadians and for the Russians there. So.
Yes, so far no big
But
surprises.
Yeah.
The group is set up for a bit more action in the coming few days, though. We don't have
True.
this South Korea on
Very true.
in Group F, so.
I will say this, you know, it's for the first time in the World Cup, we have, you know, we're getting the results that we all had expected coming into this. Not
I don't know
taking
if I
anything
like
away
it,
from
to be
yeah,
honest.
right? Like, you know, but
Like
hey,
surprises.
like Reinforce said, though, it's not done yet. There's
true.
still some
Yeah.
time for some spice. You know, some sriracha. Even though I don't like sriracha that much, I'm not crazy, but I
Well,
figured
you're
that was
still
the
gonna put
best
it on?
spicy thing I could bring up right now. I was gonna say like it's just some hot sauce, you know,
Okay.
or some
No,
adobo.
I'm going to leave
Yeah.
you there.
Adobo.
I'm gonna leave you hanging. I'm
Do you
not
know what
sure.
adobo is?
I have no idea. I just not.
Oh, you guys got to learn about some adobo. I'm just saying. Anyway,
This is a culinary journey for me. On
we
story.
talked about
Like,
poutine, we
we
talked
had
about
it all.
adobo and everything. It's incredible. That is what the desk is for, culinary adventures. That being said, let's take a look at the schedule for tomorrow when we get a chance, because I'm sure a lot of fans at home are curious as to what matches are going to be coming up next. And we're going to be kicking off the day with South Korea versus Poland, the home team, going up against the Korean powerhouse. Then we have the Netherlands versus Austria, and then we'll get Canada versus Singapore, and finally Russia versus Turkey. And still, again, though, the top two teams not playing each other quite yet.
Yeah, they're dancing around each other, but still there are some matches coming up tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. Austria and Netherlands, I think, has the potential to be a really close one too.
Yeah, for sure. I think Netherlands is the team that's favored to take the second spot in that group. But I think if any team is going to take maps of Netherlands, I think it's going to be Austria. I think they're a bit better than Poland. So for me, it's the match to watch tomorrow.
That's going to be a good one for sure. But we're kicking it off with South Korea versus Poland. And I tell you, that matchup, I mean, if it's anything like it was today, Oh my goodness, children, just be ready. Anyway, so that's going to do it for us here today. It's been a blast, and huge thank you to the desk and all the casters for everyone making it a great time. But we will be back tomorrow with plenty more Overwatch action, and we'll continue to see how the Katowice group stage will unfold. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.